Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection for our servicemen and women throughout the world, and also for those who have passed away in our community. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Perry?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Mr. Evans? Here. Mr. Gahn?
Here.
Mr. Wexler?
Here. There was an executive session held this evening to discuss a matter of litigation. Dispense with reading of the minutes.
Third order, 3A, updated tax assessor's report for hearing date to be held June 21, 2017.
Are there any comments? If not, received and filed.
3B, minutes of the regular meeting of the members of Scranton Housing Authority held May 1, 2017.
Are there any comments? If not, received and filed. Do any council members have announcements at this time? On Wednesday, June 21st at 6 p.m., PEL, the city's Act 47 Recovery Coordinator, will hold a public hearing at City Hall and Council Chambers on PEL's 3-year exit plan for the city to eliminate the financially distressed state designation. We encourage city residents to attend PEL's public hearing. The mayor will hold a town hall meeting to explain the sewer sale next Thursday, June 22nd, at Lackawanna College's auditorium on Vine Street from 5 to 7 p.m. We urge all city residents to attend. Council's regular weekly meeting scheduled for the same evening, Thursday, June 22nd, will be canceled. It is important for councils to attend the mayor's town hall meeting. Therefore, we will not meet until the following week, June 29th. We did look at the schedule in an attempt to reschedule the meeting, but Wednesday night, as previously mentioned, was being taken up by the Pell hearing, so there was not another opportunity for us to reschedule the meeting. The electronic recycling program is ongoing and will continue through June 26th. Your items should be placed outside on the curb for the DPW to collect. Each household will be allowed 1 television and 1 computer monitor. Please be aware that the pickup of these items may occur at any time and not necessarily on your scheduled garbage day. If you have not had your items picked up and they've been out since Monday, please call the DPW dispatcher at 570-348-4178.
Fourth order, citizens' participation.
Gerard Hetman.
Good evening, Council. Gerard Hetman from the Lackawanna County Commissioner's Office. To begin this evening, our Farmers Market Nutritional Voucher Program for seniors is now available and will run over the next several weeks with our distribution schedule. This is a project that is a collaboration between the Lackawanna County Area Agency on Aging and the Pennsylvania State Department of Agriculture. The vouchers are distributed on a first-come, first-served basis at senior centers and other select locations around Lackawanna County. The dates for distribution in the city of Scranton are as follows. Monday, June 26th at the West Scranton Senior Center, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Wednesday, July 12th at the Jewish Community Center, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And Thursday, July 13th at the Marketplace at Steamtown, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Seniors must provide proof of age and address. A driver's license would suffice for both. They could also use a birth certificate for age and also a utility bill for address. Medicare cards, we should note, are not acceptable under the state guidelines. The guidelines are they must be 60 years of age or older for recipients by December 31st of this year. Recipients must also meet federal income guidelines of $22,311 in annual income for a single-payer household, $30,044 for a married couple, and $37,777 for a 3-person household. Proxy forms are available for eligible seniors who cannot pick up vouchers on their own. The forms are available at all senior centers, the Lackawanna County Area on Aging Office in the County Administration Building, and also online at www.lackawannacounty.org. And we actually have a sample form that we'll leave with council's office, so if anyone contacts you, you'll have a copy also that you can send them or give them if you make a copy. If there are any questions on the program, please contact the Lackawanna County Area Agency on Aging at 570-963-6740. Second, our Senior Fun Day event, our second annual Senior Fun Day, takes place tomorrow, Friday, June 16th. The event is set from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at McDade Park in Pavilion 1. It is a rain or shine event, so we'll be under the pavilion with everything in case of inclement weather. There are free activities for seniors, including music and dancing, refreshments, bingo games with prizes, and free runs on the Lackawanna County Coal Mine Tour. And I should note a very important part of this. If you attend the event, you may or may not see certain county commissioners break out some of their dance moves to the music that we have. That alone is worth attending this event for if you can make it, I can assure you. So come one, come all to that. We don't check ages or anything at the door. It's just geared towards seniors, so anyone who considers themselves a senior citizen and any guests accompanying them are more than welcomed. Third, our Family Fun Day series is once again set for our county parks. This is kind of an open house that we have at the park, very similar to the Senior Fun Day. We just gear it a little bit younger in terms of the music, the prizes that we have, and also we have face painting, which we've learned is very popular for kids and families that attend these events. The dates are June 24th for McDade Park, July 15th for Merle Sarnoski Park, July 22nd for Covington Park, and August 5th for Aylesworth Park, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for each of those dates. The McDade date, we should note, next Saturday, is also combined with our Bike Safety Fair event. We had to postpone that last month due to inclement weather. So we'll have free bike helmets and bike safety lessons for all children in attendance at the McDade Park date. And last but not least, our 3-on-3 basketball tournament is open for registration. It'll be held downtown once again, our 6th straight year of doing that on the 100 and 200 blocks of Wyoming Avenue. The dates are July 28th and 29th, Friday and Saturday. Sunday, the 30th, is a rain date if we have to push the tournament back due to inclement weather on the first 2 days. We have teams from grade 3 up to the adult open divisions, minimum of 3 players with a maximum of 5. The cost is $90 per team for a student age team. The adult open division is $110. And for info or to register, call 570-963-6743 or just visit lackawannacounty.org. And that's all we have. Last but not least, we'd just like to thank everyone who's participating in the electronics recycling program. We appreciate council, the mayor's office, and everyone on the city's end, and especially the DPW, of course, for working with us to make this a success. A lot of them we see out on the curbs. In my neighborhood, there's a lot of folks that have TVs and monitors out. We appreciate the cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Hodawanitz.
Joan Hodawanitz, city resident and taxpayer. Today's June 15th, 15 days from the date the audit is supposed to be completed. Do we have any status on whether it's moving on down the road?
I was told that it is still expected to be completed by June 30th.
Okay, that's good. And we're 145 days from the general election on November 7th. Do we have any feedback on how the Arcadis study is progressing and when that might be completed?
I did get an update from the business administrator, and Arcadis is having trouble apparently getting information from the sewer authority.
And don't say that. No, say that's not so.
And the administration. So it's going from the notes that I received, and I can't recall everything that was in the email, but from the notes that I received, it's moving at a slower pace than they had originally anticipated.
I'm sorry, but I just got to laugh. So they're having trouble getting information from the sewer authority board and the city?
That's what, from my recollection from the notes, it's moving slower than they had anticipated.
Yeah, it should be completed shortly after the election. We'll see. Speaking of surprises, I got the May Controller's Report today, and I see in here a couple of things. Number one, there's a refund from the Knowles Insurance Company for $3,950 for some that occurred sometime in May. So thinking of Knowles, can you tell me the status of their updated list of insured properties for the city? Anybody know? Remember, it was supposed to be 3 weeks, and today was the third week, and we've been pushed. It's been 2.5 months since you passed that resolution to give Knowles the contract, and are we still insuring the Scranton Public Library by 2 different entities?
I was told not, but we haven't had the final report yet. I
So-
mean, they certainly know about that. We've brought it.
Do they still intend, though, to share with the public their corrected list?
Certainly, yes.
Okay, we have no idea when, though.
Well, again, you were told what I was told, so hopefully this
The
will.
way I understand it, it's supposed to be quarterly. It's just like your declaration sheet with your insurance policy that changes when you make changes to it. So it sounds like every quarter, there's going to be a new deck page come up.
Yeah, well, they should have been carrying the Scranton Public Library for 7 years. That's a little outrageous. Okay, then how about the status of the RFP for the third-party administrator? Any progress on that?
Not that I'm aware of.
No?
Okie dokie. Oh, by the way, in case you were wondering, the mayor said that he would have a third-party administrator on March 18th, 2016, and that was 454 days ago. I'm counting. Okay, how about the status of your request to the Commonwealth's Attorney General to look into the sewer authority sale?
We have not had a response yet.
Okie dokie. And finally, also on the May Controller's Report is a payment to turnkey taxes for $8,530.90. So what are we getting for our money from them?
Well, Turnkey is getting a percentage of money they collect over and above what was collected by the single tax office for the business privilege and mercantile tax. So that's a percentage of what they've collected. So I think they get 25%, so we'll have to do the math. We'll find out what the amount is that they collected in order to get that commission.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Faye Franis?
Yes, I want to talk about the town hall meetings next week. First, I'd like to start off by saying I think this council has a lot of guilt in this. Had you asked the right questions way back then when you met with the sewer authority, before you voted on this and got the answers to all these questions that you're looking for now, and want the Attorney General to look for, if you had asked those questions in the first place before you voted on this, maybe we wouldn't be in the shape we're in. It's not just the mayor who screwed up, although he's number one screw up. But you take some responsibility. Mr. Wexler, I say you so more than anybody because you didn't want them to come in front of council chambers because they didn't want to.
No,
So-
that's your opinion. That's
No, it's a fact.
incorrect, but
And a lot of things I say are opinions. All the things I say are opinions, but my opinions also are facts. So, and that's why you didn't get elected. But as far as the town hall meeting, do you know what the definition of a town hall meeting is? Do you see them on television with all the congressmen and all the senators that go home to a town hall meeting? They stand on a stage by themselves, nobody else speaking for them. They get asked questions by their constituents. This town hall meeting, I understand Henry Amoroso might be speaking. We did not elect Henry Amoroso. We did not elect any lawyers either. So I hope Bill Corbett, which I doubt very much because he doesn't know how to answer one question ever presented to him without turning to a lawyer because he doesn't have the brain cells to do it. And everybody should understand this. He should be taking full responsibility for this, which I doubt that he will. But considering the fact that he wants this town hall meeting, you know there's something real shady going on. The fact that he's having it at 5 o'clock to 7 when people aren't even home from work and are having dinner with their families, and the same night a council meeting's supposed to take place, what does that tell you? All I'm telling you is he should be there by himself. The Scranton Times should put an editorial in the paper demanding that he be there speaking and allowing every citizen that wants to speak to ask any question they so choose, not listen to their lies. And if they say things that aren't true, people should have a right to question them on what they say that we know are not true. So if he's having this, you know he's going to have his own little justification for everything that he did. We want to know, I wouldn't mind seeing Ned Everhanton, some of these other lawyers that got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for their legal work. I wouldn't mind seeing them stand in front of the people and explain how they billed for this, how they justify this. We have lawyers that work for the city that get paid. Why couldn't they handle it? Why do they have to hire 50 lawyers, all their buddies, all their friends? That's why we're in the shape we're in. Where's the $12 million? What about not just the legal fees? How about all the other stuff? They're going to justify for that? You still didn't get the paperwork on that. How come? Why didn't you get all the rest of the paperwork on all the money that was spent? Do you have it? Did you get it? I asked this last week.
You just accused me of getting answers to questions that weren't right, and now we didn't get that, and that's
You
wrong,
didn't get
too.
answers to questions.
We did. The answers that are out there came from that meeting.
Pardon me?
The answers that are out there right now about the bills came from the meeting that we had with Mr. Shrive.
Weeks, you just got those retracted things last week.
Correct.
For months, you haven't been able to get them, but you met with them months ago and still never got them. That's what I was talking about. All the months that you never got answers to any questions that you were asked.
But we asked for them, and that's when we got them. We continued to ask and ask and ask.
But then you voted for this before you got the answers to these questions,
It had to
which
be
is sort
voted-
of
we-
stupid.
or
What's
else-
that?
Or else the money could not have come into the city.
Oh, maybe the money shouldn't have come into the city.
Well,
You ever
that-
think that maybe that should have been the way? Because now there's no money
Well,
coming in.
then we would have lost the authority and not get any of the money. Why,
So
how
what?
would that be, how would that be any
Oh,
good?
so now what you're gonna do is now there's no more assets coming, no money coming in, so any bill you get, you have to tax the people. What do you care? Just tax the people. Mr. Wexler, oh, don't even get me started. But I just hope that somebody does something to make sure that the people get answers to these questions. I have no use for you, Mr. Wexler, and all the stuff that you haven't done, despicable. So, are you gonna see to it that the people get to ask questions? Do you have any say in this whatsoever with the mayor?
It's the mayor's meeting. We have no say.
None. You couldn't even ask him to have it another night because council was that's probably the way it was planned.
No, it's his meeting.
Yeah. Is CCTV gonna film it, do you know?
I don't believe so.
So you don't know anything? You just,
I'm not sure if you're hearing me. It's the mayor's meeting. It's
I
not
know that,
council's
but you
meeting.
never thought to call up, Marie Schumacher did, to call up and try to find out if people could speak and how it's gonna be run, but you never even thought to do that, so you could possibly tell the people.
It's the mayor's meeting.
Weren't you curious as to what was going to transpire? That maybe you could tell the people tonight, well, the people will get a chance to speak, or they won't get a chance to speak? You didn't even do that. And one more thing, I think there should be many debates between Jim Mulligan and Bill Courtwright. And I hope Bill Courtwright has the nerve to go through it, because he absolutely has to answer to the people, one-on-one, for a change. We elected him. We want to hear from him. Nobody else, just him.
Ron Ellman?
Hello, Mr. President and Council. You must think I'm Harvey Wallbanger trying to get up here.
I am liking the cats, though.
Yeah. I didn't come to argue and fight with you tonight. Yeah. You can relax. I didn't realize how deeply a supporter you were of Mr. Bozzoni. You lashed out at me enraged last week like I was a criminal or something for opposing this administration. I'm a taxpayer. He's not. I substantiate almost everything up here. All these years, nobody's confronted me whether they liked it or not. He lied to you people, week after week after week. And then, of all things, Mayor Courtwright hires him, does away with a law that's supposed to be not to have this, and council voted for it. All this was wrong. People remember it. I've heard it. In fact, I've heard it when I wasn't thinking of it no more from others. But this seems to be Scranton just turned into the land of the forgotten, it seems. All this money for downtown, and that's all we hear about. We don't hear about nothing about swimming. I guess you're going to leave that up to Mr. Jackowitz Andy and the rest of the people, like they've done year after year. $500,000 for friends of the mayor downtown that owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in back taxes. In fact, you're talking about $3 million because he wants to give a grant, the city to get the grant for them. What about the swimming for those are future voters? Nobody cares about the parks, the skate. There's supposed to be some kind of skateboard park. I don't know if that was ever built. Somebody told me it wasn't. Like I said, I've been there almost 25 years and I don't have any sidewalks and curbs. My yard floods. All this money for downtown, if they whine about something, they get it. It doesn't matter how much money in back taxes they owe. I'm going to give a quick example of how many times I've come up here and said you people just are out of tune with the people of this city. Last month, if you paid your fee before the 1st of May, you saved $30. Is that right? The people that needed that $30 the most were the people on Social Security. Do you realize when Social Security checks come out? The 3rd. That's why there was so much turmoil downstairs. This would have been so simple if you had somebody that was in touch with the people of this city. That's just another example. You guys just don't care about the people of the city anymore. And we're the ones paying for everything and not getting our money's worth. But I promised I wouldn't offend you tonight. I'm glad y'all didn't sit here and drink water and have to go to the bathroom during my couple minutes. That was an effort. Thank you.
Bob Bolus?
Evening, Council. Bob Bolus, Scranton. It's kind of interesting to come here and listen to everybody and see everything that's been going on. One of the last times I was here, I gave the analogy of a horse in a barn. When the horse leaves, what he deposits in the barn, and they leave you a shovel to clean it up. This is what happened to your sewer deal, your parking garage deal, and the mall. You guys honestly think the horse is now going to back up into the barn and redeposit money into the shovel that he left you? I don't think so. It's not a reality. It's not going to happen. The attorneys aren't giving you one bloody dime back for cost, expenses, or anything else. Forget it. It's gone. You know, you guys and the mayor, I don't know who was confused or who was incompetent in this deal, but it really stinks, just like that barn. Because what's happened to the people in this community, I can't put in words, or I'd probably get thrown out of here if I really said what I really think. You know, transparency, I'm so sick of hearing Mr. Gahan and everybody, we want transparency. Guys, you signed the recovery plan. Where in God's name was the transparency when you did this? You weren't there. You were clueless. And now you want transparency? Get realistic. It's not coming here. Let's talk about the $6 million. You want transparency? That you gave to the mall. Parking garage for $1. The mall bought his building for him and everything else. You guys all signed it. You and the mayor. You want to talk about transparency, what you cost the taxpayers? Money could have went to pension fund, money could have went anywhere. Money could have went to a swimming pool, but you gave it to the mall for $0. transparency. It's a big word around here, but it's a word that you start looking at the mall, the parking garage, the sewer deal. It's like looking for fool's gold. That's what you're doing. You're making a fool out of yourselves, and you're making a bigger fool out of us when you think you're going to regain something. Remember a little saying, the past is gone, the present is now, and the future belongs to no one. Look where you are right now, and you can't predict the future, gentlemen. Don't even come close. You know, when you turned around, and we keep watching the nonsense that goes on here, Mr. Gahan, you keep using the word transparency in the neighborhood meetings. Well, where were the neighborhood groups? The Marinucci, the Spanos, and all the other leaders of the groups. Where the hell have they been? Have they been here and here? Look around. Who's here? A handful of people, a handful of citizens. They're the know-it-alls. They know everything. Now they want us to talk about transparency. They should look in the mirror and realize they were a major part of what happened because they allowed this to go on. They allowed it. Don't come crying. Don't sit here whining that you want us or something's going to change. It's not going to happen, people. You sat on your butts. You did nothing. Now you're paying the consequences. And it's only the tip of the iceberg as this city sinks. And you're not looking at any way to you or anywhere else to bring in revenue. You're just looking at ripping these people off. Remember, the mayor rules. He's in charge. You're going to have a stupid town meeting in a couple days, which is going to be dumb. You're canceling meetings. You're changing things around. Do you honestly think a sugar-coated meeting is going to mean anything? Do you want to think the mayor's going to sit there and hand you money back? Transparency? What are you going to look for? Are you looking through a looking glass? It's not going to be there. You blew money. You've been careless. You've been negligent. And I'm sorry to see some of you even came back on this council, to be very honest with you, because you didn't give the people what they deserved. And what they deserved was integrity, honesty, to get the right answers. Before you ever signed a recovery plan, you should ask your solicitor or all the other solicitors in the city. You should have precluded the mayor from hiring anybody out there. We have enough solicitors in the city and in the county to do the job that we're already paying for. Those are the things that transparency is about. It's integrity, it's honesty, but most of all, it's self-examination. It's something you guys need to do if you're going to sit here for 4 more years. You put us where we are. Don't think you're going to get any benefit next week, next Thursday, listening to the mayor sugarcoat what he's done and what he'll continue to do. You're not going to win the battle. You lost it. As I said, you're looking for fool's gold. And if you think you're going to run the city for 4 more years after this, you guys better wake up, smell the coffee, look at the debt we're facing, look at the pensions, look at the issues, because you're not realist. You're living in the sky, you got a pie in the sky attitude. It's time to bring it down and get real, because we got serious issues. Look at all the for sale homes. And don't tell me you guys are doing your job.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Bullis.
last off, Mr. Wexler, I'm glad the people...
Thank you, Mr. Bullis.
Mr. Wexler.
Thank you, Mr. Bullis.
I'm glad the people spoke
Thank you,
and
Mr.
kicked
Bullis.
you the hell out of here.
Thank you, Mr. Bullis. Thank you, Mr. Bullis.
Couldn't be happier for it, buddy. Glad you got it.
Thank you, Mr. Bullis. I'm not going anywhere. I won't be on council, but I'll still be in the city, my
I
friend.
know you will, and unfortunately, that's the sad part of this, but you will be gone. That's the happy part.
I'll still be in the city, Mr. Bullis. I'll still be in the city. Thank you, Mr. Bullis. Thank you, Mr. Bullis. I'll be here till December. Thank you. Les Spindler?
Good evening, Council. Les Spindler, city resident, homeowner, taxpayer. 2 weeks ago, Councilman Perry, I asked you to check on that hole on Dorothy Street. And, I walked by there that following Tuesday, and it was filled in with but nice soil, so I thank you, and
Well, I just passed it along.
And,
That
well,
that was,
pass
DPW
my
took
thanks
care of
along
that. Absolutely. That's those guys that
Director
work hard.
Gallagher and his people.
I'll pass that along. Thank you.
Quick action, thank you. For a long time now, Councilman Gahn, I've asked you why you have such disdain towards the mayor. He can't do anything right in your eyes, and I finally found out. You worked for OECD under Chris Doherty, and when Mayor Courtwright took over, you lost your job. Now I know why Mayor Courtwright can do nothing right in your eyes. Let me talk.
Well, that is
Let me talk.
patently false. I left OECD to run for council, so you
Okay.
just lied
But
at a
you-
public meeting.
You supported.
Don't stand at the podium and lie, Mr. Spindler. Get your facts straight. I left OECD, I resigned from OECD to run for city council. So get your facts straight before you talk about anything that has to do with me.
Mayor Courtwright is trying to fix something that the person you supported he ruined this city, and Mayor Courtwright's trying to fix it, and he can't do anything right in your eyes. You and Councilman Evans and everybody else who supported Chris Doherty are part of the reason Mayor Courtwright has to do what he's doing. Because Chris Doherty ruined this city. 2 weeks ago, I also brought up about a gentleman that spoke here a while back about Leggett's Creek, and I think it's a DEP issue. They should be brought in. Has council taken any action on that? I think I said 2 weeks ago, I think a letter should be sent to DEP. That's an environmental issue. Nothing was done.
I've been in contact with Bernie McGurl, so it is being looked at.
Okay, thank you. Okay, something on a positive note. Watching the news tonight, there was a story about 3 West Scranton students who recently drew a mural, painted a mural of a firefighter, and yesterday it was hung in the gym at fire headquarters. And Chief DeSarno spoke. He said while he was hanging it, the firefighters there, that I guess it was covered, they asked him what he's doing, and when he unveiled it, they said it was beautiful. They loved it. And they said that's going to be there as long as fire headquarters is there. And I think the parents of these children should be very proud of them. Something very nice they did. And it's really speaks well of what's going on in West Scranton High School. Lastly, Ms. Francis was here criticizing the mayor again at what time he's having the town hall meeting. You know what, in her eyes, I don't think no matter what time he had the meeting, she would criticize it. She's criticizing him having a 5 to 7, because that's what people eat. If he had it during the day, she'd criticize him for having a day when people are working. Some people in this city, no matter what the mayor does, no matter what time he does it, it won't be good in their eyes. As I said, I think the mayor's doing a fair job with the mess he was left by 12 years of Chris Doherty. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Morgan?
Good evening, Council. Lee Morgan. I think I'd like to say that I'm still interested in people calling me about a write-in for mayor and council. I have received some responses to that, but I'd like to give my phone number. It's 570-604-1212. And this is really something that can happen here because the general populace is really disgusted with this council and this administration. And there's been over 25 years of pain and suffering in this city, and it's worse now than when we went into distress status. And you can, discuss issues from a multitude of various points, but the truth of the matter is that the residents are responsible for the mess this city is, because they've elected one incompetent elected official after another. And that burden falls on them, not the people they've elected. But I'd like to say that I recently talked to somebody in the PUC about the sewer deal, and they want me to send them a complaint, and I will. But I think they understand when I spoke to them, whoever the chairman is, exactly the kind of silliness that took place in this city. And you know, the pathetic, sad part is that you 5 people were elected to take care of the city and its residents, but not one of you would step forward and do that. It's really pathetic. And as far as the deal for the Scranton Sewer Authority, well, you know, Mr. Wessler, you've said you were opposed to the deal, but yet you introduced it. And the Sewer Authority couldn't have sold itself without permission from council. And I think that people in this city have been lied to for a very long time. And I really don't know if they're smart enough or they care enough to do something about it. And I think that we'll find that out in the general election. And I hope there are a few people that are willing to do a write-in just to prove to the smug people who think they run everything with money and votes that there comes a point when the huddled masses in this country, which is the electorate, finally stand up and tell the people that are fiscally connected to the people that are pulling all the shots that they've had enough. They did that in the election of Donald Trump. Don't forget that the Republicans against him spent an awful lot of money. And an awful lot of Democrats came across party lines to vote for him. The only problem is the American people don't really understand the kind of shape financially that America's in. And it's worse than Greece. And they're going to see it because Medicaid funding is ending in some states. And there are a lot of other things taking place in this country. And as far as the council and the mayor, you know, running the city, I won't say in a business-like way because government isn't business, but in a legitimate way that protects the interests of the populace. We've got city pools that have been closed for a decade. We're going to build a splash park. A bankrupt community is going to build a splash park in place of the Novembrino pool. All the easy money that could flow around and be politically spent has been funneled into the city. The bridge down in the gorge, the tree house. I mean, the tree house has come up because of the way it was constructed. But the bridge down in the gorge is beyond ridiculous. You could drive a tractor trailer across that bridge and it goes nowhere but to a walking path. It's absolutely asinine, considering the state of our city. And you know, you take a look at the streets. The machine we bought to make permanent repairs to potholes in the city, I don't know, non-existent. Probably went somewhere for scrap. But you're our guardians. You're here to protect our interest and serve us. But is that really what's happening? And being smug and holding meetings in the back room over at council chambers is ridiculous, because it just proves that you're not willing to come out into the light and discuss issues. And I understand that some issues should be discussed there, but there's an awful lot of issues that should be discussed in public. And in regards to the sewer deal, it wasn't a deal. It was a theft. Pennsylvania American Water would have built a sewage collection system and a treatment center if they could have made a profit doing it. But no, the residents of the city paid for that all with bonds, and you were its guardians. So, you know, when you're trying to be somebody's guardian and it turns out to be an elected official, you know, it just goes to prove one thing, my last point, the shooting that was recently took place of an elected official from Washington. That may be the beginning, because don't forget one thing
Mr.
here.
Morgan, we're not going to go over that again. Please, we're not going to talk about shooting
When Mrs. Gattelli was here, they posted a guard here. They had a policeman come in here, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, if people talk about shooting, yes.
Please don't talk over the top.
No, I'm asking you not to
No,
talk about
I'm asking you to stop and let me make my point.
I'm asking you not to make a threat about shooting.
I'm asking you to stop and let me make my point. You run this meeting, but I have a point to make.
Yes, I do, but I think you're out of order talking about shooting.
Well, then you should take me to court and have me arrested, and then we'll see what happens.
I'm asking you to
But
sit
here's
down
my
because your
point.
time is up and you're talking about shooting.
Mrs. Gattelli had a guard posted here. They put monitors at the doorway so that nobody bring a gun in here.
Thank you,
But
Mr.
you know what
Morgan.
happens here is this, is that we have elected officials that have such contempt for us. They want to control what we say and what we do as they steal every one of our assets. And Mr. Wessler, anytime you want to meet me in a public forum and debate your performance here, let me know.
That's fine, Mr. Morgan, but I think it's out of,
Please don't
This-
talk to me when I leave the podium.
I'm making a general comment. I think it's disrespectful for the people, that were taking a shot at yesterday. Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Council. Dave Dobson, resident, City of Scranton. And if you see me at any
Mr.
parade...
Dobson, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm still a little, my ears are ringing from the last speaker.
Yeah, I hear you.
Just give me a second to regather my hearing.
Reset the clock, please.
Okay, here we go. We went from one type to the other, so
Yeah,
gotta
I
give me a second
understand.
here.
I try to be a little less shrill. I don't care much for talking to the Secret Service about my comments. If you see me at a parade or the concert downtown, don't give me the duck like some people did last year from the administration. I don't carry a shotgun under my trench coat, okay? I don't believe in it. Okay, let's get started here. A word from our sponsor, Tux. You like this shirt? Very nice. It's
not
got the
cats.
whoopies on it, a little. So, you know, my point about Tux is they never received $27 million in loans, obviously never will, and it's time we start to support businessmen that actually do something for the community. And the poor guy slipped last winter, busted up his hip, and he was out for 6 weeks. The store was closed, so give him a couple bucks and get in there and get a nice T-shirt. I'll even let you wear it to council. This sidewalk up here, I seen the tables on the way in, and the thought occurred to me that we're so obsessed with stopping and preventing restaurants from having a smoking area separate from eating area that we outlawed it. So now everybody wants to be sprawled out on the sidewalk. I really would, with my luck, I'd pay 30 or 40 bucks for a dinner and the pigeon would fly by. The thought occurred to me with city taxes and fees. Too many are due at winter's end. And we have taxes fall due, and then the trash bill falls due, and the dog license is due, and you know, it gets a little overwhelming. I often wish that we could find a way to space these things out without. I'd gladly, later in the summer, pay half my trash fee for next year as long as I could get my senior citizens discount then. You know, it's just too much, and I don't think that $300 is too much, but it's too much at one time to have to pay my 2 properties and then the $300, and it gets difficult. And once again, on trash, I contend that 80% of the cost, or similar to that, is the cost of showing up at your front door for a crew and trucks, fuel, insurance, go on and on and on with that. But I spoke to a newbie last week, and he didn't have his trash sorted right, and then he found out that we had to put it down the front, and I'm not going to do that. So, you know, we rush into some new thing, that new idea like pay to throw, and we don't try to make the old system work. And sometimes at $7.5 million over several years not collected for trash fees, those people are living off of the people that pay. And if you don't have the money, I apologize, but there are a lot of people that have a lot of money, and they have fancy cars, and they have rental properties and income properties and you name it, and they just don't pay up. They just don't pay up, and it's a shame. It's really a shame. So it's time that we at least look into a study as to what's going wrong, and we may have to step on a few politically powerful toes and tell them it's their turn to pay too. We really do, because I do happen to know, I see recycle buckets in the back of people's income properties and everything else, and I see what's in the trash. And it's time to hold the people responsible causing the problem. Don't punish the people that aren't. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, not up to the last time. You almost killed me.
I thought you were lying.
Good evening, Scranton City Council, Kathy, stenographer, Lori, Amo, and a good welcome to Mark in the back room who makes this all possible. Mark is the one who films this every week, and I've been neglecting to say good evening to Mark, so shout out to you, Mark. Okay, first of all, I need to admit that I made a mistake when I said that the mayor wasn't going to hold his town hall meeting until after the election. I was wrong. He shows more courage than I gave him credit for. So kudos out to the Mayor Courtwright for holding his town hall meeting. Although I think the town hall meeting really isn't going to accomplish anything, because like the speaker before me said, he's going to be sitting up there with a whole bunch of his cronies sitting next to him, lawyers and whoever else he's going to bring along with him. And I know if I get an opportunity to ask a question, I'm asking Mayor Courtwright the question. I hope no one else tries to answer that question for Mayor Courtwright. I hope Mayor Courtwright, I will make a point of it that Mayor Courtwright answer the question, not one of his lawyers, not one of his cronies, but Mayor Courtwright himself answers the question. And as far as the time limit goes, I think it was pretty slick on his part to have it on a Thursday from 5 to 7. It should be from 5 until question mark. There should be no time limit at the end of it. If people want to talk until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, then they should be allowed to do it, because this first town hall meeting we've had, and this is a very important meeting. This meeting basically is going to resolve this whole city, where the city's going and what's going to happen with it. So there shouldn't be no time limit as far as ending time. And people should be allowed to ask their questions, and no one should be rushed and no one should be hurried, and they should be allowed to go until, like I said, if there's enough of people there. I mean, I have no idea how many people are going to show up. It might be a big crowd, it might be a medium-sized crowd, it might be a small crowd. I have no idea. But everyone who has a question at that town hall meeting should be allowed the opportunity to ask that question. And again, the only person who should be answering any of the questions is Mayor Courtwright, no one else. And I hope City Council can relay that message to the mayor for me. I've been trying to, but he won't accept my phone calls. So I hope someone on City Council gets a hold of the mayor and mentions this to him, that, hey, Mayor, you know, it's your town hall meeting, like Mr. Wexler said. It's the mayor's meeting. He's the one conducting it. He's the one who scheduled it. So he's the one who should be answering the questions. He's the one who's in charge of that meeting, no one else. Hopefully, I hope he's up on the podium or on the stage by himself. That would be the best thing possible, would be for him to show up and sit on that stage all by himself, and with his glass of water, and that's about all that should be up on that stage, is the mayor and his glass of water, or his bottle of water nowadays. But anyway, I hear that, now this is just, I don't know if this is fact now, I don't even know if it's been made public, but I hear Mayor Doherty's nephew got the health contract, the health care contract for the city employees. Is that true? Has anybody heard anything yet? I heard that today, that Mayor Doherty's nephew got got the contract for the health care for city employees. And, well, it doesn't surprise me, but I understand he wasn't the lowest bidder either. So that doesn't surprise me, but we need to find out if that's true or not. And I guess that's about it. Pretty feisty meeting today. It kind of reminds me of the old days. You know, maybe I have to get my boxing gloves back out from the closet and start bringing them to the meetings with me. It was a little feisty today, but you know, a little feisty is good in life. You know, it kind of motivates people and gets people's spirit up. So you all have a good night.
Anyone else?
And so it starts. 6A on tonight's agenda, last Sunday's paper. Something should be done. The property at the former Scranton Army Reserve Center on Colfax Avenue in Scranton has fallen into disrepair with overgrown grass and poorly maintained appearance. The city, which has control of the property, is in the process of formally acquiring ownership. Neighbors complain that the condition of the site has become a detriment to the neighborhood. Something should be done. So we have the issue of maintenance. We have the issue of everybody extolling the need for it because of all this sophisticated equipment that's being stored there. And that leads to what is going to be the insurance increment for that property. Has anybody inquired of Knowles?
I inquired with the business administrator, and he said he would get me that answer.
When?
He didn't give me a timeline.
Okay. Not this one inspired me, because this was this week's, but last week's inspired me to think, what could possibly be done to correct a problem at Seymour Avenue and 307. So I went over the next Monday, and with my tape measure, I walked over and I measured the rectangle that is at the top on which the grill, which is missing, should be placed, and I measured the depth, which was 30 inches. Protecting that was some of that pink or orange fluorescent paint around the 3 outer edges and 2 cones of similar color. So I submitted that, and that was in the morning. And in the afternoon, I was taking the little guy to a dental appointment, and I just laughed when I got to the 307 because the 2 cones had been placed on the Seymour Avenue where the last rainstorm had washed out a big chunk of the pavement, and it was a nasty hit. So the cones were there, and there were 2 horses placed over the 30-inch hole, which is right at the corner. That doesn't cut it, guys. We really have to address things. That whole corridor of 307 is fading away again on the shoulder. It's eating into it's now eating into the line at the end, and there's some nasty drop-offs. And I for one, am not going to beg the state to do it again this time because we don't do our part. That whole pipe has to be replaced. And yet nothing happens. We get horses and paint and cones. Well, moving on to paving. I did go, as I did not get through all the backup last week, but I did go home, and after Mr. Gahn noted that it was the tentative paving list was in. For the East Mountain, there are nine streets. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are in a development on the Dunmore side of the 307. Some of them only are 1 block, some are 2 or 3.
But I would encourage all of you to go and drive those streets and see if they are among the worst in this city. And then when you leave there, drive down Elmhurst Boulevard and get onto 307 down at the foot and see what that's like. If anything needs to be done on that side of the hill, it's a big chunk of Elmhurst Boulevard. I don't know what our criteria is, but I sure hope you ask how these are arrived at. Mountain Lake Road, there are places where the road just disappears and it's not too shabby when it's dry, but when it rains, you're into a great big mud puddle. I think we should be doing the worst. And Mr. Gaughan, did you ever share that pothole truck information that I gave you with Mr. Gallagher?
I did. I forwarded it to him. I didn't.
Okay, I have a lot more. I think we should pursue that. I really think we should be doing the worst. Some of these, that pothole machine would be perfect for some other things.
Okay.
And I have a lot more, and I will try to be back in 2 weeks, I guess it is now, huh? Or are we going to have a different night next week?
No, there was no available evening. Wednesday night is taken with the Pell meeting, so Tuesday's too early, so we tried.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Fifth order, 5A, motions.
Mr. Perry?
Yes, thank you. I just have one thing tonight. I promised last week that I would do some research on which is 6A, which is the Scranton building. We did get some information from Chief Graziano on some of the environmental studies that were done, and it was 11 pages with some enclosures. I picked out some of the more pertinent things. I'll address them right now. First of all, this one was done in March of 2014. The purpose of the finding as suitable to transfer, or a FOST, is to document the environmental suitability of property of the Scranton Memorial Building, Reserve Center located in Scranton, Pennsylvania, for the transfer to the Scranton School District. If you remember at that time, that's when the school district was potentially interested in it, and that's when this study was done, March of 2014. This study covered numerous environmental situations such as storage, release, or disposal of hazardous substances, petroleum products, polychlorinated biphenyls, asbestos, lead-based paints, radiological materials, radon, munitions, and explosives of concern. And after all the finding of suitable to transfer. Based on the information above, I conclude that all removal or remedial actions necessary to protect human health and the environment have been taken. In addition, all departments of defense requirements to reach a finding as suitable to transfer have been met, subject to the terms and conditions and the environmental protection provisions that shall be included in the deed for the property. The deed will also include the access provisions and other deed provisions. Whereas no hazardous substances were stored for 1 year or more known to have been released, disposed on this parcel, a hazardous substance notification is not required. And this was performed by Jeff Hersick, Chief Environmental Division, USAR, 9th Division, RSC. That was done in 2014. We had another study done by FEMA. This was done just recently, April 26th of this year. And this was done by Raymond Palmer. And he, based on the usage that the city wants to use it for, to not going forward to contaminate, we assessed the environmental impact of the identified use that the city of Scranton will be using it for minimal, if any. The description of the proposed use as provided by the city of Scranton does not indicate any special issues that would suggest a different level of impact in this case. The city of Scranton and any agency funding, issuing permits, or enacting the property transfer project implementation should consider additional information as appropriate to comply with several relevant state and federal laws and executive orders. We recommend inserting the following clause into the transfer, and then it just goes on. So as far as the environmental impact, I was pleased that we did get this information before when we were given the I guess you can say, eminent domain to use the building, but now that the deed's been going to be transferred, we just, Councilman Gahan and myself, we wanted to see this one more time and just find a date line and make sure. I'm sure he'll have comments on it as well as his findings on the readings. As far as the grass cutting, that's basic. We just got to take care of our own. I mean, there's no reason for that. Anybody who owns property in the city of Scranton has to take care of their own. I'm not going to sit here and make an excuse why that is like that, but you know, I'll make a phone call tomorrow and see what happens. But we need a plan in place. It just can't happen. You know, we're the city of Scranton and we own a building. We have to take care of it. We have to own it. If we're going to enforce laws on other people, it starts and ends with us. So that's an embarrassing mark on us. I do agree. So that has to be fixed. And I'll reserve the rest of my comments for other agenda items. That's all I have today, Mr. Wexler.
Thank you. Mr. Rogan?
Yes, just two brief items, and one I'll speak at a little bit more at length. I do want to mention we did receive a letter from the Street Cats and Dogs group that operates the Old Naog Zoo, and they're going to be having some ceremonies regarding the zoo turning 100 years old this year. And for anyone who doesn't know what this organization has been doing, is they trap, neuter, and release feral cats within the city of Scranton. And I just want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Joanne and the entire organization for the good work that they do. They're all volunteers. It's done strictly as a voluntary basis. And what their program does is it cuts down on the population of feral cats within the community in a safe and humane way. So I want to thank them for all of their hard work, and I hope to be able to be at the ceremony for the 100th anniversary. I remember as a kid going up to see the elephant up at the zoo. We did receive correspondence regarding demolition of hazardous structures. 7 structures that are under contract are 214 Wheeler Avenue, 608 Mineral Avenue, 224 Ferdinand Street, 326, 328 Rear South Hyde Park, 1303 Stafford, 1011 Cedar, and 925 Slocum Street. This is $87,000 that's allocated for the demolition of these 7 hazardous structures, and there's an additional $150,000 allocated in the 2017 CDBG allotment. Obviously, and I've been to a number of these properties, these are some of the worst of the worst. There's obviously a number of other properties in the city that need to be demolished or rehabbed as well. And Councilman Evans and myself had some discussions this week, and we're going to continue to work on changing the condemnation policy in the city and hopefully try to provide some incentive to have these properties rehabbed versus having them torn down. Finally, I read in the Scranton Times today, or was it yesterday, about the county reassessment. And much as is quite common, I have to disagree with many of the comments that are in this article, particularly the comments of Commissioner Cummings. Commissioner Cummings states, when she was 25 years old and house hunting, real estate taxes didn't cross her mind. Anyone who has purchased a property or is looking to purchase a home in the city or anywhere, real estate taxes certainly have to cross your mind, because there are properties within the city that are the exact same size in similar neighborhoods that pay different taxes, and that's just not fair. For instance, if a home for $100,000 has a tax bill of $3,000 or a tax bill of $2,000, not only is it an extra $1,000 out of your pocket every year, it may cost a potential buyer, they may not be able to obtain the loan because of that extra cost. So for Commissioner Cummings to say when she was looking for a home that real estate taxes didn't cross her mind, I don't see how that could be the case. She goes on to say that there's no fairness in property home ownership. On this point, I completely agree. Because Lackawanna County hasn't done a reassessment in almost 5 decades, there is no fairness in real estate taxes throughout Lackawanna County, and particularly in Scranton. Looking throughout the city, you could find homes on the same block, on the same size lot, with very similar square footage in the same condition, paying up to $1,000 different in taxes, not on assessed value, $1,000 difference in taxes. There are homes in the city that pay as little as $800 in tax a year. I know that's hard to believe for most of you out there, but there are people that pay as little as $800. There are other homes that are large homes that are much higher. And if you're buying a more expensive, larger property, it should be taxed at a higher rate, but it needs to be fair. And going 50 years without a reassessment certainly highlights that what we see with the appeals, that it's a race to the bottom. It's the people who have the money that could afford an attorney are filing appeals and getting their taxes lowered, while the average people, working people, and senior citizens just continue to pay the bill because they don't have the means or the knowledge on how to appeal their taxes. So I would like to appeal once again to the commissioners to move forward with this reassessment. This article goes on to say that Cummings fears a reassessment would lead to tax increases for low-income elderly residents that could force them out of their homes. Commissioner Jerry Notarianni rightly rebuts that those are the residents that will generally see their bills decline, while it's the more affluent areas that will see their taxes increase because of a reassessment. And he goes on to state that the lack of a reassessment in Scranton depresses property values and continues to discourage economic development in the city. This council passed a tax abatement on new construction that would give, you pay zero tax on new construction for the first 3 years, and I don't believe there's been one person that's taken advantage of it yet. A big part of it is if you build a house brand new, your tax bill is probably going to be double of purchasing a house the same size in the same neighborhood. That's not fair, and that's part of the problem. Again, I would just like to reiterate, I hope the county comes out with their final report. I know Chief of Staff Wallace is continuing to do research on what it would take to conduct a countywide reassessment. It says he's expected to deliver his findings to the commissioners within the next 2 weeks. So we'll certainly be looking at those findings very closely. And for the residents of Scranton, particularly senior citizens and those who have lived in a home for a very long time, you're probably paying more than you should be. And there are those, particularly outside of the city, on the county tax that aren't paying their fair share. And a reassessment is the only way to set that straight. So I would hope Commissioner Cummings would reconsider her position, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Notarianni for his support. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rogan. Mr. Evans?
Thank you. Okay, first things first, I would like to make a motion to send correspondence to the business administrator requesting that he draft legislation to create a special cities account for revenue from the Smart Cities program, and that all revenues be directed into that account for the exclusive use for the downtown and neighborhood commercial districts for infrastructure improvements and/or economic development initiatives for those areas. Any use of the funds shall require approval of both the mayor and city council, as well as input from the stakeholders of the identified target areas.
Second. There's a motion on the floor and a second on the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? You guys have it, so moved.
Okay, thank you. Also, I'd like to announce, I made this announcement last year, but I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention again. The City Council Cup will be given to the fastest female and male runner over a 3-race road running series beginning tonight with the run around Scranton that started at the Terra Preta restaurant in the 200 block of Wyoming Avenue. The second leg will be run around in the Run Around Scranton race in July, on July 20th, tentatively scheduled to leave and finish at Bar Pazzo in the 100 block of North Washington Avenue. And of course, the final leg will be the second annual Bob McGough Memorial 5K on Sunday, August 27th at 9 a.m. Prize money of $200 each will be given to the top male and female runners over those 3 races. The 2 second-place finishers and each will receive a $50 gift card from the Scranton Running Company. The winners will receive their prizes and awards immediately after the Bob McGough Memorial 5K. We all felt this was an appropriate way for this city council and other future city councils to continue to honor our colleague and friend, Bob McGough. Also, I'd like to personally thank Dunmore Borough Council for again stepping up and asking the Attorney General to review the SSA sale and joining Scranton City Council on the quest for information on the transaction. As much as I am encouraged by the solidarity shared by Scranton and Dunmore councils on this issue, I am equally discouraged that the mayor of Scranton has yet to see the light of transparency and has not yet joined in on this effort. Another issue from the newspaper, I was disappointed to read that the house known as the Castle in Greenridge took another step towards demolition. It is my personal feeling that we should continue to do everything we can to avoid that end result. I would prefer that those resources that would have been used for demolition of that house, and I believe they would be substantial because it's a large house, well built, could be used for other demolition properties in the city that have been around for much longer and on the list for much longer than that one. And I'll touch on the reassessment as well. Councilman Rogan did an excellent job explaining the housing side of it. And I don't want to comment so much on the comments that were made, because if I did, it would take me the rest of the night to kind of correct some of the things that were said. So I'll take that on for another time. But I will simply say that if you want true tax fairness, if you want true tax equity, there's only one way to achieve that, and that's through a complete county-wide reassessment. If you want to unleash the economic growth in the city of Scranton, and maybe throughout the county, you will only do that through a county-wide reassessment. And another point that I feel is important that was brought up in the article, property tax reform, also known as SB 76, and reassessment both can be achieved and are not mutually exclusive of each other. In fact, together they would be a powerful remedy for property owners everywhere. And finally, I am again asking for all of the borough councils, township supervisors, school district board members throughout Lackawanna County to join the Scranton City Council and the German Borough Council in urging the Lackawanna County Commissioners to finally get off the sidelines and endorse the first countywide reassessment in nearly 50 years. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Mr. Gahan?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Davitt was here last week from North Scranton with concerns about speeding on Rockwell Avenue and Gilbert Street, and we have forwarded her concerns and requests for additional signage to the DPW and to the police department, so I'll update everyone when we get information on that. A resident did reach out to our office about M80s being exploded in West Scranton near Walgreens over several evenings. Our office did reach out and forward that concern to the chief of police to hopefully handle that issue. I agree with Mr. Evans on the Castle House demolition in Greenridge. I think that the city should do everything that it can to first try to put that in the hands of someone who will fix it up and live there rather than demolish it and let another vacant lot sit there empty for a number of years. I would also like to make a request that the city administration put the condemnation and demolition list on the city's website and update that list monthly. I took a look at some other cities in Pennsylvania and across the country, and they do this on a regular basis. I think it would be helpful not only to city council but the residents to be able to look at that information, and it would become a much more transparent process. So I would ask if we could make that request this week. Last week I mentioned asking former Executive Director Gene Barrett to come into a council meeting, and I do think that we need Mr. Barrett to come in and answer questions. Ask him if the proper oversight was provided in relation to the approval of legal bills and other expenditures in relation to the sale of the Scranton Sewer Authority to Pennsylvania American Water. I'd like to know his thought process behind why he approved these bills, some of them without backup, what lawyers got hired, when they got hired, was a search done to get the lowest rates or bids, who hired the special counsel to the city, Ned Abrahamson. Mr. Barrett can also shed some light on who recommended the hiring of Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney to the board, since that was not bid out. So I'd like to know how they were chosen, who brought their name to the Sewer Authority Board. So I would like to make a motion at this time that Scranton City Council invite former Executive Director Gene Barrett to a public caucus to discuss how legal bills were paid, how law firms and consultants were hired during the Scranton Sewer Authority sale to Pennsylvania American Water.
I'll second that for discussion.
There's a motion on the floor and a second on the question.
Yes, on the question, just to add to that, I'd like everybody to remember that Mr. Barrett was the executive director for a number of years. This body votes to appoint the members to the Scranton Sewer Authority Board. Those members of the Scranton Sewer Authority Board appoint the executive director, so I think it is within our right to ask Mr. Barrett to come in and answer these questions.
Yes, on the question, I have no issue with asking Mr. Barrett in. Any information, any light that he could shed on it would be firsthand, and I think would be valuable if he does decide to come in.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it, so moved.
And that's all I have until agenda items. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gohan. Just a few items. Last week, we heard from residents from the 1400 and 1500 block of South Irving Avenue. This evening, we are going to try to find a remedy for that solution. As we spoke about, the list that's provided to us is a tentative paving list, and as such, there's going to be engineering done to determine the costs for those streets that have been listed. So it's our goal as a council to include Irving, those 2 blocks of Irving Avenue, to be reviewed for engineering purposes. From listening to the description of the problems there, it doesn't sound like that road really falls into the classification of these other streets that we're looking at in terms of paving, which really look at more or less as just a mill and a pave. So what we'd like to do is include an engineering study for the 1400 and 1500 block of Irving Avenue to determine the true cost of what it would be to do a permanent fix to that road. I don't believe a patch job there or a quick mill and patch job is suitable for what's been described to us in terms of, I've visited there and also seen pictures as provided by the residents. So this is our attempt to see if we can get some relief down the road for those residents. One of the items, tonight we heard about some problems up on Seymour Avenue. I was at Conroy and Snook Street this week. Same type of problem exists there. There actually was an accident there this week where somebody hit the open hole, resulting in some serious damage to the car. I know it's not a solution, but I do think we should have some temporary warning stickers there. I did send some information to DPW on my own this week, and I'll follow up with Mrs. Reed when Mr. Gallagher is back in the office next week. We've also been communicating with the city business administrator in terms of getting an RFP out for engineering work on Stafford Meadow Creek. Mr. Bolzoni has gotten that RFP to the purchasing office here for it to be issued. There was some comments this week about temporary repairs. So this study, this request actually is going to be for the entire Meadowbrook area, which also stretches into Dunmore. The request is that that entire area be looked at for temporary repairs for anyone who may have problems right now at that area, and that would include the Youngs and the Kennedy's properties. The RFP is intended to be able to be used for any matching grants that we are required to do when the state comes in to do the overall repair of that project, and hopefully we can get this study done so we can get repairs done on the Young's property, the Kennedy's property, and also anyone else who has problems along that line. The goal is to get some temporary repairs there. It's a dangerous situation, and this is our attempt at the best way to go to try to get some relief there for those residents. Last evening, I attended a rededication of the Colonel Frank Duffy statue over at Steamtown Historic Site. The members of the veterans group, the Gorbel Vega Post, still own the statue. They are quite proud of that statue, and right now it's going to be at display at Steamtown through 2018. Colonel Duffy was an amazing man from the stories that we hear. He actually worked for the DNLW Railroad, so he's actually, for the first time since April 1918, Colonel Duffy is home in an area where he walked every day until he went over to France and was killed in the war. So I'm very proud of the work that I have done with the VFW, and also the work that the VFW has done themselves, maintaining their interest in that statue and making sure that it was taken care of in such a manner that it'll be there for another 100 years for people to enjoy. And I congratulate them on all their efforts. That's all I have this time.
5B, for introduction of resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with Koharchik Construction for the City of Scranton traffic signal replacement at North Main Avenue and Parker Street.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5B be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
5C, for introduction of resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with Whitmer Public Safety Group Incorporated, doing business as Officer Store, for 2017 ammunition for the City of Scranton Police Department.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5C be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
5D, for introduction of resolution, appointment of Gopal B. Patel, 939 Quincy Avenue, Scranton, PA, 18510, as a member of the Board of the Scranton Sewer Authority, effective June 7, 2017. Mr. Patel will be replacing Patrick J. Hughes, who resigned May 15, 2017. Mr. Patel will fill the unexpired term of Patrick J. Hughes, whose term is scheduled to expire on January 4, 2022.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5D be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question?
Yes, on the question. I'm going to make a motion in a second that we invite Mr. Patel into a public caucus. And I realize that this is an unusual request and probably an unusual motion to make. But in light of the serious matters that have recently taken place, the lack of transparency, the stonewalling that's gone on for the past 6.5 months, I think that every single appointment to this board is of the utmost importance. I think it's extremely important that this legislative body find out what Mr. Patel's views are on the Scranton Sewer Authority, what he believes his responsibilities are as a board member. Is he in favor of having the Auditor General come in to audit the Scranton Sewer Authority transaction? Would he be in favor of the Attorney General coming in as Scranton and Dunmore councils have requested? We need to make sure that this appointee to the Scranton Sewer Authority Board is going to be an advocate for the people, the ratepayers of Scranton and Dunmore, and not for Mayor Courtright. Remember, and this is what causes my concern, the mayor actually at one point said that he thought the board members of the Scranton Sewer Authority Board were like members of his cabinet. He wanted them to share his vision. Causes me concern because the Scranton Sewer Authority Board should be independent and autonomous and totally separate from our local government. We need to make sure that Mr. Patel shares the vision of independence for the ratepayers of the city of Scranton and Dunmore. Mr. Patel's letter of interest is a little light on details. I think we should investigate this further, and I do think that we should ask him to come to a caucus and answer questions. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that Scranton City Council invite Mr. Patel into a public caucus to find out what his views are on the Scranton Sewer Authority.
The motion dies for lack of a second. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, so moved.
5E, for introduction of resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate officials of the city of Scranton to execute and enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the city of Scranton clerical workers and local lodge number 2462, affiliated with District 1 of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, AFL-CIO, in accordance with the terms and provisions of a memorandum of understanding with an effective date of January 1, 2016, and ratified by the membership.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5E be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question?
Yes, on the question. I'm still reviewing this memorandum of understanding and the contract, but I do think in light of the city possibly exiting Act 47 in 3 years and us getting the exit plan from Pell recently, that we need to make sure that we do our due diligence and make sure this contract is in the best interests of the taxpayers in the city. So I would like to request a few items. I did so in the caucus before the meeting tonight. I do believe, and my colleagues agree, that we should ask the mayor and administration officials to come into a caucus and explain this memorandum of understanding to City Council, how it fits within the 3-year exit plan, how it benefits the city. And again, I think it's important, and especially in light of the city's financially distressed status. I'd also like to request that our recovery coordinator, the Pennsylvania Economy League, give us a written response or attend the public caucus and give their opinion on whether or not this memorandum of understanding fits within the 3-year exit plan and the workforce cost containment provisions included in it. I'd also like a cost-benefit analysis from the business administrator. The retiree healthcare language is a little confusing, so I think we need clarification on this. I'd like to know how much this will cost the city, if anything, and is this in line with our 3-year exit plan and the workforce cost containment provisions? Concerning the areas of job descriptions, it states that modifications made during contract negotiations. I'd like to get an opinion on what these modifications were. It's extremely difficult to have any opinion on this without seeing each and every job description as it applies to the needs of city services. Concerning the pension language in here, on the surface, this option that's being presented for employees being available to transfer into another pension seems to place an additional burden on the city if multiple individuals made the transfer. It's not clearly defined what the burden would be on the city. It mentions an additional annual contribution of $10,000, roughly $11,000. I'd like to know, is that total or is that per employee? And again, I need more clarification on this and more explanation. Concerning the retirement severance, I'd like to see a value set to this based on the potential number of employees who are potentially going to retire over the next 4 years. Section 6 regarding certifications, it says the city must provide existing housing inspectors with materials, study guides, and information about the location, timing, and details of the certification test within 90 days of ratification of this contract. I'd like more information on that. Where do the tests take place? How much do the tests cost? The materials, study guides, and other things like that. So I would like to get more information on how that process works. That's all I have. Thank you.
I also agree with some of what Councilman Gahn mentioned. I'm looking for additional information. I do want to mention, on the face of this looks to be a very good contract for the taxpayers, particularly on the salary side. For 2016, there will be no pay increase for clerical workers. 2017, no pay increase. 2018, there will be a $750 bonus. 2019 and 2020, a 2.5% pay increase. So on the salary side, you could see these are very, very, very small pay increases. And actually in 16 and 17, there's no increase whatsoever. I also do like that the pension contributions for the members will increase. It's not a very large increase, but there is an increase of the members into their pensions. So actually for years 1 and 2, these employees will actually be making less money than they're making currently because of the increased pension contribution combined with no pay increase for 2 years. That being said, there are a number of other items in here I do have some questions on that I want to investigate a little bit further, but on the face of it, it does look like it is a very fair contract, and it should be a basis for starts of conversations with the DPW for no pay increases for the first few years in the contract. As you know, I have a number of other issues with that department, but as far as this, it does look good on the surface, but we'll be doing some more investigation.
On the question, I think we've established a protocol having the administration come before us to explain the MOU with the police and fire department contracts, and also we've also asked Pell in the past to comment to make sure it's consistent with the recovery plan. There are some good things in here that I like, and there's also things in here that are missing that I want to ask about because I think they're very, very important, especially on the pension side of it. So I think some sort of public caucus would be very, very helpful for everyone.
All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
5F for introduction of resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a service agreement by and between MedTrack Services LLC, a Missouri limited liability company, and the city of Scranton to provide pharmacy benefit management services.
At this time, we'll entertain a motion that item 5F be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
Sixth order, 6A, reading by title, filed with Council Number 104, 2017, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to accept on behalf of the city of Scranton this quitclaim deed conveying title to the city of Scranton, the former CSM Samuel P. Sorrente U.S. Army Reserve Center, located at 1801 Pine Street, Scranton, Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, 18510, as more fully described in Exhibit A, attached hereto and made a part hereof.
You've heard reading by title of item 6A. What is your pleasure?
I move that item 6A pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question?
Yes, on the question. I appreciate Chief Graziano providing the environmental information. I still will be voting no against this for the reasons that I stated last week. A cost analysis to determine the impact on future operating and capital budgets has not been done, and according to the business administrator, will not be done. And I can't get over that concern because I do not think that at this time we should be adding additional unknown maintenance costs to our budget. Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, so moved.
6B, reading by title, filed with Council Number 105, 2017, an ordinance amending the administrative code of the city of Scranton, Chapter 439, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 6, Residential Parking Permit Program, by making changes and additions to Sections 439-68, Permit Application, Section 439-69, Responsibility of Permit Holder, Section 439-70, Duties of the Administrator, Fee, and Section 439-71, Violations and Penalties, in order to bring the code up to date.
You've heard reading by title of item 6B. What is your pleasure?
I move that item 6B pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
Seventh order, 7A, for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, file of the Council Number 103, 2017, authorizing one R6-IL horizontal left one-way sign and one R6-IR horizontal right one-way sign be installed back-to-back at the easterly corner of Vine Street and Monroe Avenue, and the existing do not enter sign at the westerly corner of Monroe Avenue and Vine Street be plumbed to a vertical position.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7A.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Rogan?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Gahn?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7A legally and lawfully adopted.
7B, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 165, 2017, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into an agreement by and between the City of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Smart City Media, LLC, of 54 West 40th Street, New York, 10018, by using its proprietary smart media platform to deliver helpful location-based information.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7B.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Rogan?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Gahn?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7B legally and lawfully adopted.
7C, for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, Resolution Number 166, 2017, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with Ruther Bowen PC to provide engineering services for the City of Scranton 2017 roadway improvement project.
I'd like to make a motion to amend item 7C per the following. Amend the tentative 2017 city paving list by adding an additional section entitled South Scranton, 1400 and 1500 blocks of South Irving Avenue which will then make it a total of 25 streets on the list.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. On the question?
Yes, on the question. I'm very pleased to be able to make this motion tonight. The residents of this area who attended the meeting last week expressed and have been expressing great concern about the condition of these two blocks. I think it's not only a public works issue, I think it's a public safety issue. I have been up in that area several times, and nobody should have to live like that. There basically is no road left. So I think that this is a start to find out how much it would cost to pave it, and hopefully get these two blocks on a paving list as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the important thing is that we find out the cost to do the proper repair of these two blocks. The serious condition that they're in requires something more than what we're looking at under our paving program. So we will take a look at this and make a commitment to get it completed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved. What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7C as amended.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Rogan?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Gahn?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7C as amended, legally and lawfully adopted. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned.